It's been a while since we had a look around the plot, so let me at least update you with what I've planted out in Block C, and I'm halfway through planting Block D, and I'll show you some of the highlights and some of the lowlights of what's going on right now. Hello and welcome back to the Essex Allotment Farm. Sorry it's been a while since I posted a video. You just know, as growers yourself, this is a manic time of year. The plot's, doing okay. There's some absolute huge success stories, there's some failures, but things are progressing nicely overall. So we're going to have a quick spin round. I'm going to, like I said in the intro, going to focus on what I've newly planted out over the last sort of week or so since I did a vlog. Or maybe 10 days-ish. Then we'll have a look at some of the highlights, some of the stuff that's ready to be harvested, and I'll show you some of the problems that I'm having as well, which continues to be pigeons, by the way. So let's jump straight into Block C, which is fully planted out now. I think I was a few beds into it last time. I had a bit of a whip round and a look round, and yeah, we'll take it from there. So as we are walking to Plot C, I thought I'd walk you through the sort of garlic thing. You can sort of see, the first bed over my shoulder here. It's the soft neck variety. And then I've got 3 more beds that we're just about to walk through now. So you'll be able to start seeing it behind me. Like this. No, I'm not far enough up. Good camera work. Good start to the vlog. Stick with me. There is some good bits. So we've got 2 soft neck here that are behind. The hard neck that was planted a lot earlier. So I pulled one up, one hard neck, one soft neck from each of the garlic beds to see how they're progressing, and it's made me a little bit nervous. According to my planning, they should be ready in about 4 weeks' time. Obviously, I know we've had one of the toughest springs we've ever had, so I expected them to be a little bit further behind that, maybe a week or 2. But if we start off with the not so successful one, that's the soft neck variety there. The top one still covered in mud because I've literally just pulled it up. It's only just this second starting to bulb. Now I know it does most of its bulbing in the late part of its life, but that's got a long way to go to be anything like sellable. The hard neck, I've cleaned this up a little bit because it's the first one I looked at. It is looking a little bit better. There's a bit more of a bulb to it. None of them scaped yet, so they've got at least 4 weeks after they've scaped. So that makes me think they're going to scape over the next couple of weeks, and these ones will be pretty much on target. They smell pretty great. I mean, this one doesn't look too bad for an early garlic, and I'll use that myself because obviously it's perfectly edible like that. But yeah, it's just an indication in the beginning of this vlog how this really tough sort of spring and cold and wet spring has really affected the garlic. And it's only in about 2 weeks, this time last year, in about 2 weeks time, I was harvesting fully grown hardneck garlic that I'd overwintered. So you can just see with at least 4, 5, 6 weeks left of this, there's going to be at least a 4-week difference. And that kind of summarizes how stuff as a generalization on the plot is growing. Because I don't like doom and gloom and I want this to be a positive video, the strawberry patch that stretches across 3 blocks is going really well. These are all outdoor strawberries, being there over winter, and they're obviously liking the conditions because we've got a nice early crop of strawberries coming. For outside strawberries, you can see that one's nearly ripe. I've got one down the end to try, be my second strawberry. I hope it's lovely and sweet. So we are in the top end of my cultivated area, what I've got cultivated so far. We're about we're 4/6, I can tell you exactly, 4/6 of the way up the first stretch of land that I'll be cultivating. This is Block D, and you can see I haven't got my sprinkler systems up here yet, so we're just doing a bit of makeshift watering behind me. But I thought I'd talk you through while we're up here and I'm changing the hose pipe about. what it is exactly I've got planted in block D so far, and how many beds I've got left to plant in this block, and probably what's going to be going in them. So yeah, let's have a look. Some summer crops in here now, so you know, things should start to get going. So what I should say now, in block D, there's no perennial bed at the top here. So the annual beds go right the way up to the top, whereas in blocks A, B and C, we've got a perennial strawberry bed under weed mat, which you've just seen, growing at the top end of each bed. So that means we've got 11 annual beds in this block, and that will be replicated in block E and F, which will be the last two blocks in this stretch of the field, and everything that I'll be cultivating for this year. So in blocks D, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, there's nothing in there yet. I'm planting from the top end downwards, and they're ready to be planted out. They just need some wood chips in the pathways, you can see here. But let's start in D6, which is where I've put my first bush tomatoes out. They don't come all the way down to the bed. I've got another variety to come in, and they have got a little bit of transplant shock. They're looking a little bit sorry for themselves because they only came out in the last few days, but if you can see, they've got plenty of flowers, focus camera, on them, and even started to get some tomatoes to set, which is great news. I've really squashed these in, and they don't need, why is this camera not focusing? There we go. They don't need cordoning up. They're strengthening themselves because they are a bush variety, and these are garden pearl, which historically is a sort of hanging basket variety that I'm trying intensely spaced with no staking in some of my beds. So I expect them to be a really big bushy tomato bed all the way along here. So that was D6. D7 and D8 is sweet corn. So these two beds here, sweet corn and sweet corn. I'll put the variety up on the screen because I can't remember it off the top of my head. Again, transplanted out in the last few days, and if the camera will focus, you can see that this sweet corn's doing okay. Some of it looks a little bit scrappy, but we've got loads of spares to ensure we fill in any gaps, you know, if any of the transplants don't actually make it. I'll put them out quite young because historically I've found that sweet corn for corn cobs don't like being transplanted too much. They don't like root disturbance, so I've got it done nice and early and hoping they'll pick up from there. It's my makeshift watering system. It's literally just a spray hose propped up on the top of what is going to be the cucumber trellis, which we'll get to in a minute. Now, under this fleece, as I alluded to in the beginning part of the videos, I'm having a lot of trouble with pigeons and birds, and I think maybe even pheasants, which could be a real problem because they're not really scared of anything. So this fleece is actually serving two purposes. I don't really need the heat at this time of year. It's warmed up nicely here in Essex, but it's protection from the birds because I've got some netting coming, but because of Bank Holiday Monday even, it's not going to be here until Tuesday. So I've done this makeshift sort of bird protection, and it is still dropping down quite chilly overnight, so it isn't doing them any harm. But obviously what I'm going to show you now, which is in this bed, which is D9, is two varieties of pak choi, which certainly wouldn't need cold protection this time of year, but they are a favourite of some of the pests that are around here. And I've got two varieties, a white stem variety, and then a little bit further behind, again if my camera will focus, is a red variety. So they're planted all the way down there under the fleece. I'm doing this all in one take, by the way. At this time of year, that's the only way I can really get these videos done. So forgive the brashness of the recording and some of the mistakes that I make when I'm trying to talk to you. Anyway, in D10, peppers, I've got Marconi, I've got sweet banana and YOLO Wonder in this bed here, 30 of each plant. And then here, which is my favourite bed on the plot at the moment, I've started trellising up some of my cucumber plants which again, I've had a little bit of transplant shock with the change in weather, but they'll pick up absolutely fine. They've already started to pick up. You can see, well, I'll show you in more detail in a minute. I've started to trellis it properly down the far end, but I haven't got up to the rest of them yet. And then in front of them here, there are some aubergine plants, which are the ones, if you follow my Instagram, that I have taken pictures of all, you know, from since January, because I'm super proud of them, because historically I've not been particularly good with aubergines. Right, we're going to duck under the water sprayer and come and have a look at this trellis in more detail. So if I step over the peppers, a really simple trellising for my cucumbers, and they're going to grow up these strings. So you have strings on 2 wire, and I've got to do the same all the way along here. But my sister's coming to see the farm for the first time tomorrow, so I might get her to do that, because it's a horrible job and not one that I fancy doing particularly. I've got 3 different varieties. Let me see if I can remember in here. I know Telegraph is in the middle. I know I've got Jogger over in another bed over there, which is an F1 variety. Come on, you can do this. Remember. Bella is another variety. That's up the top corner there. And I can't remember this variety here. I will. Yeah, I'll have to put it in the description or something, or up on the screen. So yeah, and they're just starting to get the first few flowers on those plants, but I think I'll probably lose them because of the transplant shock. Here we go, look, this is my amazing watering system. To get it to point at a slightly different angle, we move it the other side of the post, and it's now getting the little dry patch that was in between the 2 sprays that I've done so far. Genius, isn't it? I'm trying to run a professional, profitable market garden, and this is my watering system. I need to get a grip. Okay, so we're down in block C now, or actually we're in between C and D, looking back towards the shed, which is down the far end there. I'm just going to whistle stop tour you through what are in these beds. So let me spin round. So in C1 here we have got my hot chili peppers. I've taken you through, I think, what they are before, but there's cayenne, there's lemon chilies, there's Anaheim, which is a mild one, and I can't remember the 4th one. Again, I'll stick it up. And then we just use the spare space at the end here for some more aubergine plants. Next, we've got courgettes in 2 beds, just 1 line down the middle. A few different varieties of courgettes. This video will be too long for me to go through every variety. And then we've got that interplanted with a little bit of lettuce in the edges here, and on the outside edges, not that you can see them yet particularly because they're quite small, are turnips. And then in C4, yeah, get it right, C4, we've got about 50 plants of a bush tomato variety, which is called Baby Boomer. Yes, Baby Boomer, and they're quite nicely. They're a lot smaller than the ones that I planted over in block D. However, they've transplanted a lot better, and they've gone through their cycle of looking a bit crispy and a bit shocked, and giving them plenty of water. Now the sun's shining, and the central growth is really lush and green and not necessarily as dark as it looks. Then we've got multi-sown beetroots, bolt door, and or Boldor, which is a gold variety, and Bolt Hardy, which is a red variety, all the way down there, a whole full bed of those. That's in C5. C6 under here is leeks at the far end. Most of this bed is leeks, but the reason it's covered is because I've got direct sown radishes, which I'll try and show you, which again the pigeons absolutely loved, so we've covered those up to give them a bit of protection. And they're recovering nicely. So that's my next succession of radishes. Next, we have got nearly a whole bed of ramrod spring onions, multi-sown in sort of 7 or 8 in a bunch. And they're growing nicely in those lines down there. And again, didn't get my maths quite right, so we had a little bit of spare space at the end of the bed where I've just chucked in some oak leaf lettuce, which is coming on quite nicely. It looks quite good. The leeks probably looking the best they are. Now, I won't show you everything under here because you've seen it before. This is the first things I planted out in this block. We've got calabrese in this one here, purple sprouting broccoli in this one here, and then we've got some curly kale in this one here. So that is block C, which has obviously got the strawberry patch at the end here, and this is the cucumber plants, the jogger variety that I couldn't fit in the bed in block D. So they are in there, put nicely. Obviously they've got to be trellised up, these 2 poles that I've put in temporarily, but that is block C all planted out. So you can see that I have got quite a lot done with the help of my volunteers since the last time that I did a bit of a tour. We're 2 blocks or 2 blocks of beds further up, or 1.5 at least. Oh, just grab that garlic. So yeah, we're moving on nicely. I've obviously had some problems with pigeons, which I alluded to. That's why in block B, my kale, which certainly doesn't need to be covered, is covered up with fleece. Or it doesn't need to be covered from a heat point of view with fleece, so they'll be replaced with netting when it arrives on Tuesday. Same with the kohlrabi. The kohlrabi is progressing really, really nicely. I'll try and get you a shot of that in a minute, but it was absolutely ravaged by pigeons, so I'm giving that an opportunity to recover. This is the salad bed that I've started picking from already. Let me spin you around so you can see that. You can see that this red romaine type lettuce is ready to have some of the outside leaves picked, and they'll be going in my first veg boxes, which are next week. That's a pretty looking lettuce variety. It's all intensely sown because we will be picking the outside leaves. Where I've lost a few when they're transplanted, or didn't take particularly well, we filled them in with, I'm pointing with a garlic, how is that? We've put some of the green oak leaf in there just to fill the gap, so that's why there's some green mixed in there. But then we've got another red, I think this is 4 Seasons, I'm not sure off the top of my head, I'm not very good at identifying, but another red variety ready to pick, slightly different to the romaine variety that was at the top end, but again a really beautiful looking leaf. And I've had some of this at the markets already that I've done, and it's getting really, really good reviews, especially for how long it's lasting in the fridge. 10 days to over a week to 10 days, sorry. So yeah, that's the lettuce bed that's looking quite good. So 2 other things that are later than expected but have finally started to kick into action are broad beans. You can see behind me a bit patchy, but they've filled in, so we'll have 2 sort of crops of broad beans. They're starting to form beans now. And then if I spin it around and show you just up here, there's a huge section of my pea trellis that I planted way back when, if you were following the vlog, and we've started to get some flowers on them, so I'll show you those. You see these are bushed out really nicely. They're starting to set these beautiful white flowers. And then if I move down to this variety here, just need a bit more support and tying up. These have got an absolutely stunning pink and purple flower. It's being munched by something, you can see there. But they're going to set nicely into peas, and they've just started flowering. So look at them, beautiful colours, ready to pop open. But yeah, they're looking really healthy. The last thing I'll show you in this video, and it is just a quick one, a Saturday morning look round before I go and play cricket, because it's the summer, is the celery that I've put in. Just a few celery plants down here, right at the very first bed on the block, A1, right in the bottom corner. I've transplanted that in, it's taken nicely, it's putting on green growth, and I'm going to just use this as cut and come again celery. So here we go, I'll spin you around. So there we go, celery's looking great. You can see the transplant sort of, let me chuck that lettuce down, transplant issues where you just lose the odd occasional leaf, but now the green growth in the middle looks lush and lovely. So they should do brilliantly down here. That's it for this week, a quick Saturday morning spin round. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry It's so slapdash, and I'm doing it as best I can. Let me leave you some more of that lovely drone footage of the farm that I left at the beginning. Thank you to Josh who came down and filmed that for me. There'll be more of that as the season goes on. But yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Hit the like if you did. I hope I showed a fair assessment of the sort of 50-50 start to the season I've had. And I'll let you know how my first veg boxes go next week. And some exciting news about possibly an additional farmers market, which I'll be able to share with you soon. Bye bye.